What started as a prank turned into one of the most surprising road trips YouTube has ever seen. Robby Layton, best known for his wild projects and big-hearted collaborations, set out to pull the ultimate trick on his friend Matt from Matt's off-road recovery. On the surface, it looked like a hilarious cross-country race involving limousines, trackers, and late-night chaos. But behind the laughs was a story very few people knew. What unfolded across thousands of miles wasn't just about competition, it was about loss, friendship, and the question that still lingers. How real is Robby Layton's journey? Robby's ideas are never small, but this one felt especially outlandish. Buy a stretched Lincoln Town Car limousine thousands of miles from home and drive it all the way back to Utah. On paper, it sounded ridiculous. In reality, it was the perfect setup for something far bigger. After scouring online listings, Robby and his crew found their chariot in Connecticut, a clean, white limo with 188,000 miles and a surprisingly low price tag of $5,200. For a group that usually worked on trucks, this machine felt almost luxurious. The air conditioning blew ice cold, the ride was smooth, and even his friends joked that for once it didn't smell like bad decisions. The plan wasn't just to bring the limo home. Their real mission was to use it as a weapon of distraction against their friend Matt, who was preparing for the legendary Cannonball Run, an unofficial race from New York to Los Angeles. Robby wanted to play the role of rival, shadowing Matt's every move, making his attempt just a little more stressful. It was the perfect blend of comedy and chaos, the kind of scheme only Robby would dream up. But beneath the laughter, there was something he wasn't saying. Robby's ideas are never small, but this one felt especially outlandish. Buy a stretched Lincoln Town Car limousine thousands of miles from home and drive it all the way back to Utah. On paper, it sounded ridiculous. In reality, it was the perfect setup for something far bigger. After scouring online listings, Robby and his crew found their chariot in Connecticut, a clean white limo with 188,000 miles and a surprisingly low price tag of $5,200. For a group that usually worked on trucks, this machine felt almost luxurious. The air conditioning blew ice cold, the ride was smooth, and even his friends joked that for once it didn't smell like bad decisions. The plan wasn't just to bring the limo home. Their real mission was to use it as a weapon of distraction against their friend Matt, who was preparing for the legendary Cannonball Run, an unofficial race from New York to Los Angeles. Robby wanted to play the role of rival, shadowing Matt's every move, making his attempt just a little more stressful. It was the perfect blend of comedy and chaos, the kind of scheme only Robby would dream up. But beneath the laughter, there was something he wasn't saying. The prank was elaborate, almost diabolical. Robby and his friends planted not one, not two, but 3 Apple AirTags inside Matt's Cannonball car. Hidden in the ashtray, tucked deep in a door panel, and concealed in another spot so secret that even if Matt found the first 2, the third would keep haunting him. On top of that, they armed his vehicle with tiny chirping devices, crickets that would let out random beeps at unpredictable intervals. Imagine driving through the night at 80 miles per hour, half asleep, only to hear a phantom sound you couldn't trace. That was the psychological warfare Robby unleashed. As midnight approached at the Red Ball Garage in Manhattan, the Cannonball's legendary starting point, Matt's car was ready. Stopwatch set, adrenaline pumping. He had no idea what was coming. To the crowd, it looked like 2 friends locked in a race across America. But to Robby, it was a stage for mischief. His limo lumbered through city traffic, barely able to keep pace, yet the prank was already in motion. Online, some fans later called it hilarious. Others weren't so forgiving. Was it just good fun between friends, or was Robby pushing things too far in a game that others took very seriously? What Matt didn't know, and what no one at the Red Ball Garage could have guessed, was that Robby's race wasn't real. After the dramatic send-off, the limo slipped out of the chase and circled back. The truth was heartbreaking. This cross-country trip was never about beating Matt. It was about honoring a life cut short. Robby's wife Dee had lost her brother only a year earlier. He had driven for over 30 straight hours without stopping, a decision that cost him everything. That tragedy haunted the family, a constant reminder of how fragile life can be. So when Robby floated the idea of joining the Cannonball, Dee set a condition: no racing. Instead, they would do the exact opposite: stop often, take their time, and turn the drive into a journey of healing rather than exhaustion. The limo became a tribute, not a competition. While Matt sped across the country chasing history, Robby's team wandered New York City, visiting Ground Zero and the Statue of Liberty, quietly carrying the weight of grief. The prank still existed, but the real purpose was hidden in plain sight: to transform a reckless challenge into a road trip that celebrated life instead of risking it. Once the limo finally hit the open road, it became clear this wasn't going to be an ordinary drive. Almost immediately, they were pulled over by a Pennsylvania state trooper who wasn't amused by Robby's sense of humor. The officer inspected their paperwork and warned them about a dangerously worn rear tire, an issue that would haunt them for the rest of the trip. But instead of turning back, the crew pressed on. The limo quickly turned into a rolling circus of problems. The AC needed constant recharges, they ran out of gas on a back road, and that rear tire was so thin it looked ready to explode. Between breakdowns, though, the trip was packed with moments that defined the adventure. They raided Buxy's, the legendary mega gas station, spending hundreds on snacks and souvenirs. In Nashville, they wandered Broadway Street, soaking in live music and even stopping by Jelly Roll's Good Time Bar. A detour to Bowling Green landed them at Holly Performance's headquarters, a paradise for gearheads. All the while, Robby's prank devices quietly tormented Matt across the country. For Robby's crew, though, it wasn't about speed or winning. Every delay and detour was part of the point, living the journey instead of racing through it. By the time Matt triumphantly rolled into Los Angeles, clocking an astonishing cannonball time of just under 36 hours, Robby's team was still meandering through Tennessee. The contrast couldn't have been sharper. Matt had a record-setting run under his belt, while Robby's crew was fighting flat tires, lowball offers on Facebook Marketplace, and the absurdity of driving a $5,200 limo cross-country. At one point, they even tried selling the limo in every state they passed through, joking that if someone actually bought it, they'd just fly home. Offers came in, some serious, some insulting, but the limo kept rolling. 90 hours after they started, 3 times longer than Matt's run, Robby's team finally pulled into Utah. The limo was beaten, the crew exhausted, but the mission was complete. What looked like a prank had become a pilgrimage. They didn't have records or trophies, but they had laughter, memories, and a way to honor Dee's brother. The limo, scarred but still running, stood as a symbol of everything the trip represented: grief, healing, and the choice to slow down when the world tells you to go faster. For fans, it was unforgettable, a reminder that sometimes the longest road carries the deepest meaning. Of course, Robby's limo journey didn't erase the controversies that follow him online. For some fans, the cannonball prank was a lighthearted gag. For others, it crossed a line. The cannonball community takes the race seriously, pouring thousands into cars, fuel, and risk. To them, Robby's chirping devices and hidden trackers weren't just jokes, they were distractions that could have endangered Matt's run. That debate alone divided comment sections. But that wasn't the only controversy. His collaborations with Sparks Motors and Heavy D drew whispers about authenticity. Fans questioned whether the garage sale where Robby bought rare rigs was a staged stunt for views rather than a real deal. Then came skepticism around his giveaways, those flashy trucks and tool sets that required merch purchases to enter. While Robby has shown real winners, many viewers remain doubtful, comparing it to schemes they've seen elsewhere. Even his build sparked debate. Delays on fan-favorite projects like King Fred or the sled truck have left loyal viewers frustrated, urging him to just finish one. And then there was the Lamborghini roadside experiment, framed as a social test but dismissed by critics as a brand-sponsored stunt. To some, these moments blur the line between heartfelt creator and strategic entertainer. So what does the limo journey really say about Robby Layton? On one hand, it's proof of who he is, a builder with a big heart, someone willing to turn a prank into a tribute, and a friend who doesn't mind playing the clown if it means creating memories. On the other hand, it highlights the same questions that follow him everywhere. How much of what we see is genuine, and how much is carefully crafted content for views? The answer probably lies somewhere in the middle. Robby thrives on big ideas, some messy, some controversial, but always memorable. Fans love him because his projects feel larger than life, and yet his struggles, unfinished builds, online criticism, personal loss, make him relatable. The limo trip was more than just a prank. It was a story of slowing down, remembering someone lost too soon, and proving that not all adventures have to be about records. But it also leaves viewers asking, was this Robby's most authentic moment, or just another masterstroke in a career built on spectacle? That tension keeps people watching. And maybe that's the point, because in the world of YouTube, the story is never really finished.